People are currently loving Battlefield 6. It's fresh, it's enjoyable, it's interesting. There's a couple of cheaters, but that's typical, right? But you know what people are absolutely despising, hating, and for very rightful reasons? It's Call of Duty, of course. The new trailer is absolutely hated. The current state of the game, well, you can actually see the current state of the game right here. We have American Dad. We have I have no idea who this is. It's a bunch of slop. You also have Nicki Minaj and Beavis and Butthead. It's really bad. And well, Activision is so afraid of the current situation because people hate this and very openly that we could actually see some change. I'm kidding. Nothing's gonna honestly change. It's Call of Duty. At the end of the day, you know why they put this slop in? Because you buy it. You buy it. You probably have all the skins. Oh boy.
Caught in a slop era. And if you want evidence of that, just...
Ooh.
Well, everyone, nature finally might be healing because we're seeing anti-slop happen. So, Call of Duty got caught in a slop era. And if you want evidence of that, just look at social media this summer. It's been exploding with gifs of the American Dad, the Beavis, and the Butthead, all having fun with each other in Call of Duty. People getting killed by Cornholio. And players are rightly furious, because it meant that COD no longer looked and felt like COD. But what's interesting is that Activision have actually listened. Less than a month after their glitzy Gamescom campaign, they announced a walkback where those egregious skins, the ones that angered people, the ones that made COD not feel like COD, well, those are not going to be added to the next game. And going forward...
Surely they're not gonna add anything. Yeah. The last time I decided to trust Blizzard with anything, I got burned. I got wronged. Diablo 4 happened. It wasn't good.
They've promised a better balance to the immersive core Call of Duty experience, as they put it. So, the hardcore players won this round, and many are convinced it's all thanks to EA finally giving Activision some viable competition. Let me explain how we got here. In 2023, Activision made a real big announcement. As Modern Warfare 3 launched, players would be able to carry forward cosmetics they bought in Modern Warfare 2, not just to Warzone, but into core Call of Duty multiplayer. And look, at the time, we were impressed. So were many others. This was pro-consumer monetization that didn't, well, make your purchases irrelevant whenever the next game version comes along. But when the same thing got announced this year...
It sounds like an attempt at anchoring people to just one game. Sounds like they don't want people to quit the game because they don't have anything in it. It sounds like they just want to keep you playing because... You wouldn't want to lose all those hours of play and all those skins you farm now, would you? That would be bad. Sounds like that type of situation, honestly.
Here, the reaction was completely different. You see, Black Ops 6 came along in 2024. Black Ops is a different sub-franchise, so they chose not to continue the practice because they wanted to preserve era-specific weapons and keep, quote, that signature Black Ops style. But when Black Ops 7 showed up at Gamescom, well, Carry Forward was confirmed to return in the sequel. And of course, when people thought about skins carrying forward, they thought about the skins that had angered them all through 2024 and 2025, because they had got so ridiculous and immersion breaking. Players hated the idea, yelled about it constantly, and eventually forced Activision to backtrack. Which, you know what, pretty much always feels good. And it all comes back to the idea of the slop era.
Listen, remember, Activision never actually backtracks. It's not a real thing, okay? These companies, they never backtrack. They just remove something and then they sprinkle it in slowly but steadily until you accept it.
The slop era is built on a simple idea, that Activision cares more about selling skins than the actual game. So they flood the store with
that's not an idea, that's just a basic truth, I feel, at this point.
With slop skins that dilute the fantasy. Why would they do this, you may ask? Well, the obvious answer is because they sell to huge audiences. But people aren't just mad about the monetization, the number of bundles that are presented to them. They're not even just mad about the licensed properties. It's deeper than that. It's about audience tension. Now, we've talked a lot about licensing being about more than just sales for these companies on this channel, because it's also about user acquisition, and it's a marketing technique that brings people together from different groups. And the easiest way to frame this is actually Happy Meals. It's basically Happy Meal toys for live service cosmetics. You see, kids come for the toys, but the thing that's bought is a McDonald's meal. And that builds brand affinity with McDonald's. So if you were going to get yourself a Minecraft burger thing, well, Minecraft may have got you through the door, but you just had a McDonald's experience. McDonald's gets to
True, this thing does work pretty well. Granted, as a kid, I didn't care about the toys too much. Bro, Kinder Eggs were just so superior. It is what it is.
grow its brand by using other brands. Call of Duty is already a platform with a wide audience, so the Happy Meal toys align with the broad demographics they've got. And that's why under one roof you've got Seth Rogen, you've got rappers, WWE superstars.
Why would you put Seth Rogen in your game? That's so stupid. Everyone hates him.
And 90s cartoons. You see, what brings those together is that for 20 to 30 something players, COD is just where they hang out and voice chat after work. It's filled with brands that they recognize, but that's caused attention, because this same game is also trying to appeal to tactical military adventure fans, people who got into the franchise when they saw that Call of Duty trailer all the way back in the earlier 2000s. These people don't want their operator taken out by a cel-shaded cornholio, and they're also the most vocal and hardcore of Call of Duty fans, the ones who actually take it seriously. Now, just before Gamescom, the associate creative director Miles Leslie told IGN something interesting, that they were, quote, trying to make sure all fans feel represented in the game. So basically, trying to find...
Basically, it's a lie. You can never get everyone represented in the game, no matter how hard you try. It's just not happening. It doesn't matter if people like or dislike your game. The moment you try to represent anything and everything, you're losing. You are losing hard, okay? These companies have typically always done one thing, and now they're doing it slightly different and we're pissed. We have actually seen a change happen like two times? Two times, I'm pretty sure. One of them is the Vogue era, when every single game was, hey, remember these 20 million people that are gonna buy our game? Who all are men? Yeah. How about we ditch all of them? The people who made our franchise Goliath, and let's go for a bunch of women. Yeah, let's do that. Women are gonna be our new bigger audience. Oh yes, women who now have an extremely high amount of college degrees, who have even less time to play games now. Yeah, that's right. We're gonna steal them all off of Candy Crush, and it's gonna be amazing. Someone needs to study why women love Candy Crush. I mean, it's just basic. Anyway, this is never gonna work. We have seen these the Vogue switch of gaming, and now there's also kind of a switch of gaming, because you know the current things not working out too much, and people are getting pissed. It's happening constantly. That's kind of my point here. It's happening constantly.
Find a balance. They were paying attention to that balance. Of course, they then announced something that people absolutely hated that led to quite the social media campaign, and now they are walking it back. Because yes, the walk back was always happening, and Activision is making a public show of saying to the serious players, hey, you know what? We're going to try listening to you for once. Of course, my only question is that really genuine? I have a feeling it isn't. Okay, walk back time. Here's what they said. Quote, we know there's been a lot of conversation recently about the identity of Call of Duty. Some of you have said we've drifted from what made COD unique in the first place. Immersive, intense, visceral, and in many ways grounded. That feedback hits home, and we take it seriously. We hear you. Do you know what? If you're a dev working in that game, I actually do believe that. I just don't believe the people who actually have control do, because, well, you know, sell people cornholio, make money, easy. So, what we've seen is an attempt to win hearts and minds, and the word grounded really stands out as a clear nod to complaints about military dilution. Now, Treyarch announced two major changes. Again, this was just 2 weeks after showing the game off at Gamescom. The first change is that carry forward was revoked. Operator and weapon cosmetics will no longer transfer, and some people will be really pissed off about that. They do get
Obviously.
why. That's stuff that they bought. Double XP tokens and zombie bubblegum rewards will stay because those are like earned progression rewards, but cosmetics would stay behind. That means Blop 7 will have a clean slate, and with that context, the second change makes sense. They say, quote, in Black Ops 7, bundles and items will be crafted to fit the Black Ops identity. We hear the feedback. We need to deliver a better balance.
What is the Black Ops identity even? Black Ops is pretty like you got your empowered vomins, you got your black squads, you got your dude, what even is the Black Ops identity? Like what are we talking about here? That's just a buzzword.
Towards the immersive core Call of Duty experience. Do you know what? As turnarounds go, this is fairly dramatic. They switched up a core marketing point. They removed something genuinely pro-consumer because, as pro-consumer as it was, it had externalities that sabotaged the integrity of their game as an experience. And that is a massive shift for Activision. Now, this promise for the future is something we should treat with a lot of skepticism, because sure, this is promised for launch, but how many licensing deals are already set in motion for this game? Can those things really be pulled? And what happens if player numbers decline steeply?
Yes, of course those things can be pulled. Also, they're probably not actually in the works. I really doubt that Activision is going around saying, hey, in 3 years you're gonna be the next Call of Duty skin. I don't think they're doing that. I don't think they're doing that at all, by the way. And it's just they're acquiring the license to use their IP. That's it. That's all they're doing. They're just doing that. It's not really exactly hard to stop that. There's not a lot of input other than just getting a license.
Year on year, like they did with Black Ops 6. Will more cosmetics get pushed to boost revenue? There is serious doubt about Activision keeping their word long term, but while audiences aren't sure what will happen next, many are very confident about why this changed. That being that there is finally grounded competition again. The elephant in the room is EA's walkback with Battlefield 6. And they've done other walkbacks in the past, like whenever they pulled the Santa skin from Battlefield, but essentially EA have been saying everything right. And we'll probably cover the development story of that game, because man, it has only got more fascinating as info is leaked out. But for Call of Duty, Battlefield 6 is basically just a weapon for people to beat Activision into submission with. You know, the talking points. Grounded skins, developers saying they want to stick with the fantasy. These are things Activision is now saying to Call of Duty people, and it's all language that Battlefield people have, been talking about. And people are obviously connecting the dots. And the story fits. The idea that Battlefield's grounded fantasy convinced Call of Duty to back down from its bullshit, that now that actual competition exists, the risk of Cornholio just ruining the integrity of a game's art style, etc., that could actually punish a company, well, if there's real competition, then that punishment could be real. Now, nobody thinks Battlefield will outsell Call of Duty. That's never happened, even with Battlefield 1, which was their best.
Yeah, true. The funny part about this is, and why I don't believe this, is because he just said it. It's exactly true. Battlefield 6 is probably not going to be a financial success. And by saying probably, I mean I'm like 80% easily sure that it's not going to be a success. It needs to outsell everything that has been Battlefield before. It needs to sell more copies than copies have been sold all games put together. It's a steep climb. They are not going to do it. And the thing is, well, Battlefield 6 doesn't have Nicki Minaj skins or anything like that, which means, well, considering they're not going to be selling enough copies, they now need to implement battle passes, they need to implement skins, they need to implement some kind of unlocks and things like that. And all of those things, fundamentally, people are not going to buy unless they take away from the experience if you don't have them. Which means weapon unlocks when the game launches could be bait and swapped, and now they take forever to actually farm. Battle passes with things locked behind them. Day one DLCs. There could be so many things, and they're probably gonna happen because I don't think Battlefield 6 devs and the people in finance are thinking, oh yeah, this game is going to definitely sell more than it has ever sold before times two. No, I don't think they're being that stupid. I think they know that they're going to need to sell skins and microtransactions to make this happen. And I don't think it's going to be enough. I don't think that's going to make it happen. So, Call of Duty 6 may actually be afraid of Battlefield for now, but Battlefield has put itself in a situation where it cannot actually deliver financially. And, well, if you don't deliver financially, you can't keep making games like this. Which means Battlefield is gonna, well, it's gonna go bye-bye for a while, okay? Let's just put it at that. And then Call of Duty is going to be once again free to do all of this slop stupid stuff that they have always wanted to do.
Best-selling title. But if the conversation gets loud enough, as it has, then perception can influence things like pre-order numbers and the data trends that they will be looking at. And since Xbox walked back their $80 game policy without revealing if Call of Duty would be included, maybe what they needed was an easy win. Maybe they needed to keep their revenue targets and their sentiment on track, leading to something like what we've got today. And it no doubt makes their decision-making simple when players can simply point at Battlefield and say, they're doing it right, you're not, please change. Though obviously we're so late in the day that they can't change up the core game experience. But that's fine, because it's Black Ops. Black Ops has always been a little more goofy. The campaign reveal was full of psychedelic level designs, gameplay was more erratic than any boots-on-the-ground military game, and beyond that, insider gaming sources allege something fairly interesting, that the campaign's end will supposedly feature a PvP 32-player endgame thing for progression grinding. And of course all the other COD things, Warzone updates, zombies, just stuff to keep all of the different Call of Duty sub-audiences happy. But here's the thing, it all sounds good, especially when the creative director, Leslie, talks to IGN saying that it's about finding that tight balance. My concern is that the dev team don't really have a say in some of these things. And
no shit, the dev team doesn't have a say in a lot of these things.
that once times change, and once the incentives change, that we'll just go right back to the slop era. With all this in mind, Call of Duty chose the simplest option. They needed to regain support from the angriest players. And yes, turning off cosmetic carry forwards might devalue existing player libraries, but when Black Ops 7 launches, the controversial skins won't be there. And the launch is the most important time in any game's life. It is, after all, launch players who are more likely to accept other aspects of Black Ops 7, even ones that...
I mean, we're not... Listen, I don't know why Blizzard decided, hey, we're gonna take something as retarded as House Maroon from Starfield and we're gonna make it our own thing. But they did.
Don't align with their fantasy. You know, as long as the multiplayer experience they care about feels right, they'll be happy enough. And ultimately, that's what this story is about. It's about Activision looking at their audience filled with dozens of angry plates. The people who just hang out, the tactical experience seekers, the Warzone players who never spend a dime, or the new wave of Game Pass people, or the zombie people who are waiting for the next insane plot twist. But this change...
Also, question, yeah, this is a good point. Isn't Call of Duty 7 gonna be on Game Pass day one? Isn't that gonna be a thing?
Direction, it's seeing one of those plates wobble, realizing we don't want those bad headlines to sabotage the launch of our game, especially when it seems there's viable competition in the market, and then seeing that, trying to fix that wobbling plate as fast as is possible. For me, the deep concern is that the slop era still exists, that the only thing that has warranted this change is a slight change in incentives, because there's been a bit of drama and they know their launch is important. I am worried that it will be straight back to the slop of any old brand being able to pay their way into a game and just all of the stuff that is, I think, diluted the integrity of games as a medium almost, at least popular games. Now we should take this as a win. And in taking this as a win, we're saying we actually genuinely don't want these things in our games. We don't want our games to be full of random ass brands. By taking this win, we take this ground. Now, our challenge, my challenge, your challenge, is to hold this ground. Now, there's one game that provides a counterexample of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say what's gonna happen in the future, right? Call of Duty is definitely seeing that people are absolutely ecstatic with Battlefield 6 in general, minus fake cat cheaters. But all in all, will this actually make a change? I think it could. Are we entering the bait and switch era? You know, you pretend that this is happening and then bam, haha, Nicki Minaj is back, boys. Is that a thing? Is that how we're gonna? Is that how things are gonna look? We have had a lot of bait and switches in the past year, honestly. So I would not be really surprised if Activision. Obviously, it's Blizzard. Why do we call it Activision when it comes to Call of Duty, but Blizzard for everything else? Everyone knows it's the same company and the same people are making the decisions, the same slop decisions for all of these games. That's why they're lukewarm IQ at this point. In any case, that was Bel Air News 10 out of 10. Bye!